Hi guys, so today I am going to show you guys how to create a fake scar with liquid latex using cotton balls and toilet paper. So you also want to make sure when you're starting off that you have some sort of brushes that you don't mind being completely ruined by the liquid latex, or you have some sort of tools that you can use to mold the shape that you want. I just have these ones that I got from like Dollar Tree. They're not super crazy. I also have some brushes that I don't mind using for this, but again, you definitely don't want to use your everyday brushes with the liquid latex because I mean they will be completely ruined. So, and with all that said, let's get into it. So we're gonna do tissue first, and I'm just gonna take a little bit of liquid latex first. I'm using this tool. I dipped it into my little liquid latex. Um, I'm gonna take a little bit, and I am just going to apply where I would like my scar to be. And so you just want to be mindful um, that wherever you put the liquid latex is gonna, the tissue, the cotton ball is gonna stick to. So I'm gonna start with, which one did I say I was gonna start with? Let's see, I'm just a little bit messy. That's okay. I'm gonna start with the cotton ball. Cotton ball to me, I like a little bit better. It's thicker, it's easier to maneuver with. I'm gonna start with the cotton, and I just tear up the cotton ball, and then I roll it back up, and I just kind of try to create like a thin shape, and then I stick it onto wherever I want my scar to be, and I try to just kind of shape it a little bit. And once it's down, that's cool. We're just gonna go in with some more liquid latex. Now you want to make sure that you add some more liquid latex to it. Basically, the more liquid latex you add, the flatter it gets, the more it starts to stick to the skin and like blend in with the skin. I also will get into how to show you guys like how to make it look more like skin. But you see how that's lifting? You want to just pat it down, don't trip. Just pat it. You're gonna have to keep adding liquid latex, and you're gonna have to keep maybe fixing, adding more cotton balls to get your shape. I'm just gonna pat it in. Sometimes the cotton is so, it sticks to the cotton so much that the cotton starts to lift, so you just want to pat it in. And then you also want to make sure that you have a fan, because it has to be completely dry before you get to cutting the shape of the scar and everything. So this is just one layer. Now before you let it dry, you want to make sure that you add more tissue or cotton to your liking. I'm going to add some more cotton right now, since we're doing cotton right now. And basically you want it to be flat enough on the skin, but you want to make sure you have enough product that when you get to cutting with those scissors, that you are not cutting your actual skin, and that you're only cutting the tissue or the cotton. In our case right now we're using cotton, so I want to make sure that I'm adding enough cotton so that I'm not cutting my skin with the scissors and I'm only cutting the cotton. So I'm just adding a little bit more liquid latex, and I'm trying to flatten that out. Once it gets, while it's wet still, sometimes I like to like pinch it and try to create more of a scar shape. You can do that. You can totally like maneuver and manipulate the shape while it's wet. But if it's dry, you're gonna be stuck with what you have. So you want to make sure that you do this while it's wet. Now those bumpy, lumpy like edges, don't worry about it too much. I just like to take a little bit more liquid latex and just flatten it down on the edges so that that part is flat. Want it to be more lifted in this area because the center is where you're going to cut with the scissors. So you don't want that to be too flat, but you definitely want these areas to be more flat so that when you go in with your foundation, you don't see too much of a difference from the actual skin and where you created the fake scar. You don't want it to be too noticeable. if it is and it's your first time trying this out, it's okay. It's doesn't have to be perfect. It's just it's fun. It's not something that has to be like super perfect. Um, so I think I'm gonna add a little bit more cotton to this area because it's a little flatter than I would prefer. Um, and I want to make sure that again when I cut that I'm not gonna be like scratching or cutting myself with the scissors because the scissors are a bit sharp. So I'm gonna add a little bit more, but only to the center. So I may need to do a part two of this. Part two, part three, because we didn't even start tissue yet. But after I add more liquid latex, I just want to flatten that back out and mold it. And then when I'm done doing this, then I will go in with my dryer. But this is the good part about having a tool versus a brush, because on this part you want to just mold and shape whatever you're trying to create. So now I feel like I have the desired shape that I want with my scar. I'm satisfied with it. So now I'm gonna go on my dryer or my fan, and I'm just gonna make sure that it's dry. So I'm gonna use my fan over for a few minutes, and I'm just gonna make sure that it is dry and completely dry before I get to cutting and adding the finishing details to it. So now that the scar is dry, I like to just poke a hole in the liquid latex safely and nip little by little until I create a little incision where I can start to cut away at the liquid latex. So this is a little firmer, but you want to be very careful on this part because you definitely don't want to cut yourself. So I just do little by little until I create a scar. I'm going to do the rest off camera just so I can do this safely. All right, I was able to create a hole for my scar, so now I can cut upwards, and I cut away from my skin just to make sure that everyone knows. You want to make sure you're cutting upwards or out. You don't want to cut down or towards your skin because you can really scratch yourself or cut yourself, and you don't want to do that. So now that I have the shape that I want to kind of just make sure I'm cutting in the middle. So after my scar is open, I like to just cut the inside around like the edges of the scar to kind of open up the wound. It gives it more of a like a realistic open wound kind of a look. So then I just take a disposable eyeliner wand. I add some black face paint, and then I just go in the inside of my scar. You want to make sure that the inside is completely filled in. Now I'm just going to take some foundation and pack it around the scar. So once I pack it with the foundation, I'm gonna go on my brush now. This is when you start to check out part two, guys, to see the finishing touches.